Hello and welcome to Love and Tears channel. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Just one click, but it will be a great source of motivation for us to bring you more heart-touching stories. Now let's start today's story. I never thought I would be the one to rummage through someone else's phone. Over the years, I have always believed that trust is the foundation of a relationship. And curiously, checking your partner's phone is no different than betraying that trust. But sometimes, life forces you to become someone you never thought you would become. It all started 3 months ago. My husband Daniel and I have been married for 7 years, in love for 10 years. We met in college, got married right after graduation, and together we built a life that I once believed was solid. Daniel works in marketing, and I am a graphic designer. We had just bought our dream house in the suburbs. From the outside, everything looked perfect. But I soon realized that perfection is sometimes just an illusion. The first signs were small. Daniel started working late regularly. When I asked about work, his answers became short and distant. He kept his phone on him, even during meals, always claiming it was urgent work emails. The man who used to put his phone in a drawer during dinner now seemed glued to it. Then there was his appearance. Daniel, who had never cared much about his appearance, suddenly started buying new clothes, using strange perfumes, and spending hours in the bathroom getting ready for work. When I complimented his new shirt, he just nonchalantly replied that a co-worker had suggested he dress more neatly. The closeness between us gradually faded. Deep conversations about dreams and the future suddenly disappeared, leaving only bill schedules and chores. Daniel often went to bed after me, always saying he had work to do. And every time I wanted to be close, he would make excuses. Tired, stressed, or simply not in the mood. I tried to confront him directly. Daniel, I feel like we're drifting apart, I said one evening. As we sat on the sofa, each in our own world, he looked up from his phone just long enough to reply. It's just work stress, Lily. Give me some time. But the project seemed to never end. Even my friends started to notice. You look different. Is there something going on at home? My best friend Emma asked during our usual coffee date. I just kept making excuses for Daniel's absence, convincing myself that everything was fine. The breaking point came on a Tuesday night in March. Daniel was in the shower, his phone charging on the nightstand. It buzzed with a text message from someone named Alex, complete with a heart. It simply read, "Can't wait until tomorrow." Last night was amazing. My whole body froze. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking. I read the text over and over again, praying I was wrong. But there was no way to interpret it differently. I shouldn't have, but I picked up the phone anyway. I knew the unlock code all along because we'd never kept it from each other. And then what I saw shattered the world I'd once believed in. Months of text messages, intimate photos, dates, plans for the future, even gossip about me, about the marriage, that it was dead, that Daniel was just waiting for the right moment to leave. Alex wasn't just a fling. They talked about the apartment they wanted to share, the trips they were planning, how they were going to tell each other's families. I quickly put my phone back, pretending to read a book, when Daniel emerged with a towel wrapped around his waist, humming softly. He looked so normal I've wondered briefly if I was being paranoid. Hello, he said, picking up the phone to read the message and then put it down, a smile appearing on his face. I tried to keep my voice calm. Have you finished showering? Yeah, I'm a bit tired. I'll probably go to bed early. He kissed my forehead lightly, like many times before. I lay there, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling all night, while the man who had been with me for 7 years of marriage slept soundly next to me. He suddenly became a stranger. The next day I asked for leave from work. I needed time. I walked down the street, looking at the house we had dreamed of, which now I no longer knew if it was a real home or just a stage for a play. I was about to question it right away, but then I hesitated, partly because I was afraid of the truth, partly because I wasn't ready for it all to collapse. So I chose to investigate. A week later, I became a stranger to myself. I tracked his phone, checked the time, even drove to his office to see if his car was there. Most of the time, it wasn't there. I found out that Alex was a colleague from another branch. Looking through social media, I saw someone a few years younger than me, full of charm. They met on a company retreat 6 months ago, which coincided with the time Daniel started to change. The most painful thing was not just the betrayal, but the realization that all those lies were meticulously arranged. He didn't stumble by accident. He was living 2 parallel lives. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Last Friday, I printed all the evidence and put it on the kitchen table, waiting for him to come home. When Daniel walked in, a familiar voice called, "I'm home, Lily." Then silence. He saw the stack of papers. How long have you known? His voice was small and trembling. Since a week ago, I replied. But maybe the question should be, how long has this been going on? 6 months, he admitted, his head bowed. Do you love him? The silence between us answered everything, but I still needed to hear. Yes, he said, finally. I'm sorry, Lily. I didn't mean for things to turn out this way. We talked for hours after that. He confessed that his feelings for me had faded, that he was a coward for not facing up, that the relationship with Alex had started out as just a chat, then spiraled out of control. He apologized, he explained, he made excuses, but none of them were enough to mend it. 7 years of marriage, 10 years of love, summed up in the words, I didn't mean it. He was at his brother's house now. Next week, we were meeting with a lawyer to discuss the divorce. The house felt empty, but also lighter, as if an invisible burden had been lifted. I wasn't okay, and I probably wouldn't be anytime soon. Some days I was angry, some days I was hurt, some days I felt strangely relieved. I went to therapy to learn to accept not only the betrayal, but also the fact that I had been living in a fantasy for months. My friends were there, especially Emma. She said something that stuck with me. You didn't lose a marriage. You just found out it never really existed. Yes, the marriage I thought I was protecting had long since fallen apart. I just hadn't been told. I was 32, starting over. But one thing I was sure of, I would never ignore my gut feeling again. The signs were always there. I just chose not to look. If you, whoever is listening, feel something is wrong, trust your instincts. Don't justify irrational actions, because the truth, no matter how cruel, is 1,000 times better than living a lie. Only by facing the truth can we truly begin the journey of healing. What do you think about this story? Leave a comment to share your feelings. And don't forget to subscribe to the Love and Tears channel so you don't miss these tearful but powerful stories. Dear friends, each story here is not just about pain or betrayal. It is also a journey for us to learn how to stand up, find ourselves, and become stronger after the wounds. If you have ever experienced a similar situation or are hiding an unspoken feeling in your heart, don't hesitate to share it in the comments section. Who knows, your story might become a source of encouragement, helping someone out there feel less lonely. On the Love and Tears channel, we not only listen to pain, but also find hope and healing together. So let your heart speak, because who knows, you might be the light that lights up another person walking in the dark.